Hey squad, it's GooberTroy here, and the first week of rated PvP has been unlocked in Swords of Legends Online. I spent a lot of my time in the 3v3 arenas, and I wanted to also hop on this tier list making meta on YouTube, and kind of just rank what I've seen of each class based off of my own opinions. I will be ranking them on high, mid, and low tiers, but I do think every class is very well balanced. I don't think there's anything that's like truly amazing and a class that's absolute trash. I think everything has the potential to carry, so yeah, just wanted to get that out there. But with that out of the way, let's hop into it. The first class I want to rank here is the Spearmaster, and I believe they are mid tier. This class has absurd amounts of burst damage on their cooldowns, but the issue is you can actually CC break and avoid the majority of it. So in low levels of play, if people don't really know what to look for, this class is insanely good. But the higher you go, I think this class falls off just slightly. They have really good mobility though to kind of get in and actually enable that burst, and they can run away if they want to. But yeah, in low levels of play, they're really good, but I think they fall off a little bit in higher levels of play, which is why I'm placing them mid tier. As for the Slayer, this is the class that I play, full disclosure. I think this is actually about low to mid tier. I'm going to place them in low. Actually no, I'll place them in mid. They have really good enabling tools for their team with several stuns. I think they have 2 dashes, and each stuns for 2 seconds. They have a knockdown, which can immediately lead into a 6-second stun if they want, and that 6-second stun is AoE. They also have a 3-second unconscious. Basically, they just have a ton of CC. The issue for me is their burst feels kind of awkward to land sometimes, especially if there's some sort of like hit registration due to lag and stuff like that. There have been a few moments where I thought I was going to land a Cloud Ripper, but instead the opponent just walked out of it. They do have a slow, by the way, which you like always want to have applied if you're trying to go in for a Cloud Ripper. But yeah, overall the class feels a little awkward to get the damage off of sometimes, but they are a CC machine, and therefore they enable their team very well. Next up is the Reaper, and I think a lot of people are going to echo this kind of mentality, but for now, in this first week, I think they're low tier. They do insane amounts of burst damage, and their cooldowns are very scary. The problem is that's about all they offer. I don't really think they're good at peeling for a team member or enabling other team members, so they only have their damage. And right now, while people are still learning the game, I think that this class is just a low tier damage dealer. I do, however, think they will rise to like high mid tier once they kind of figure out like how to do their rotations and stuff. And I'm sure they'll get very scary then, but yeah, for now, just low tier. Next up is the Spell Swords range spec, which is the Sword Artist, and I believe this class is mid tier. They are able to deal fairly consistent damage, and with a little bit of setup, they can do really strong burst damage. They have really good AoE that kind of just forces any melee comp to be afraid of and not step in. They have a really good control, really good mobility as well. So basically this class just doesn't really have a downside. So yeah, just a really solid class. Next up is the Blademaster, which is the melee variation. And personally, I think that this class, or the spec, is teetering between mid and high tier. I kind of want to put it in high tier, but I'll just settle and put it in mid. I don't think they're like absolutely broken. I think they're very solid. Or like, well, I kind of do think they're a little OP in some scenarios, but basically this class has like an invulnerability skill called Illusory Blade that makes it very awkward and scary to try and lock them down with crowd control, because you know, obviously if you miss that crowd control, you're in trouble. They are very sticky. They can deal pretty solid bursts with a little bit of setup, and yeah, this class just, you cannot run from them. They always feel like they're going to be stuck to you, and they have pretty solid sustainability. So they will just outlast you and just whittle you down. And yeah, so I think they're kind of scary. Next up is the Bard, and maybe not to many people's surprise, I think this class is the best in the game right now. They when there's a dissonance bard, a DPS bard in the raid or in the arena, you're kind of forced into this awkward situation. They deal insane amounts of burst. It's very quick, and you can't let them just do what they want. The one downside is the Bard isn't the most mobile spec. However, they have a cooldown which lets them cast while moving, so without that cooldown, they're a little immobile, but during that cooldown, good luck. But yeah, the Bard does insane amounts of damage, but the biggest issue is their defensive, which is Ice Block, basically, where they gain immunity to damage. They have two of them. One procs on command, or is triggered on command, and the other one procs once they've gotten to a certain health threshold. So if you focus them, you have to realize that you're going to be dealing with two invulnerability phases, which kind of makes it awkward to try and kill them because you might feel like you're wasting time, or and like during that time their allies are able to just kind of pummel you while you're trying to lock down the Bard. But if you go for their teammates, because you know the Bard has invulnerabilities, then the Bard gets a free cast and just destroys your team. So they just put any arena composition into an awkward spot of, do we focus the Bard or do we let the Bard do what it wants? And both feel bad. Anyhow, last up is the Summoner. And I think this class is like right smack dab in the middle of everything. So I will put it mid tier. And I think that because the Summoner, kind of like Bard, they have insane burst damage and it's very quick and it doesn't require a ton of setup, I don't believe. And if you're just kind of caught out in the middle of nowhere, you're gonna have a bad time. But that's about all they have. I don't think they have a lot of crowd control, so they can't really enable themselves very well. They just have crowd control and mobility. And that concludes my rankings of every DPS spec in Swords of Legends arenas. I do think Bard is the only real outlier here, and even then, I think everything is extremely close and well balanced. But I want to know what you guys think, because this ranking is based off of a Slayer's perspective, and it might be a little biased. So I want to know what classes you guys play and what gives you the most trouble. But as always, I'm GooberTroy. Thanks for watching, and remember to squad up and have fun.